And we are here, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, and it is good to be here. We've been missing some days lately, but today we are going to be looking at the Corpus Hermeticum, the Divine Pymander, original manuscript, Hermes Trismegistus, 3rd century AD. And if you've been here for this series, which has been a long one, as you can see, we are almost to the end of this incredible, mind-expanding, life-altering, and just truly profound experience. I never know what I'm going to say on these videos. Sometimes I just want to tell you what I'm thinking and how I'm doing, but that would be very off topic. Today we will be looking at the 13th book or chapter in the Corpus Hermeticum. Last week we finished his Creator or Monas, which was the 12th. And before that, it was of the common mind, de Thoth. And really, this is just to see where our mind attack, ladies and gentlemen, where our mind goes. Hard to get this to set up right here. Could do it like that, but then we can't see it because it's too bright. So I try to give it an angle there, but give me just a second. But of sense and understanding is today's lesson, ladies and gentlemen. Shiny. Now, we got it. Of sense and understanding. What can we learn from the lost wisdom of the pharaohs and hermetics? Well, without any further ado and silliness from me, ladies and gentlemen, let's see where the mind goes. And once again, for purposes of teaching and commentary and expanding the mind so that through an increased awareness and understanding of ourselves and the nature of reality, we may hopefully increase the quality of our lives through that understanding. Book number 13, Corpus Hermeticum, of Sense and Understanding. Line 1 begins by saying, yesterday, Asclepius, I delivered a perfect discourse, but now I think it necessary, in spite of that, to speak also of sense. 2. I'm not going to say the number of each line, but these are like sentences that are numbered. And this one seems to go all the way up to line 55. So we'll see how far we make it today. Number 2. For sense and understanding seem to differ, because the one is material and the other is essential. I wonder if essential ties to essence, because in previous chapters it talked about how we have the bodies and then the spirit or the soul or the essence that is what drives and gives life to the material form. Material form without this essence would not have its energetic or its life, so to speak. But this, once again, is just where my mind is going. So if you take this differently, then that is just fine. For sense and understanding seem to differ, because the one is material and the other is essential. What does he mean by this? Let us continue. Number 3. But unto me they appear to be both one, or united, and not divided in men. I mean, 4. For in other living creatures, hello, kitten. For in other living creatures, sense is united into nature, but in men to understanding. Very interesting. I'm going to read 3 and 4 there again quickly. But unto me they appear to be both one or united, and not divided in men, I mean. For in other living creatures, sense is united into nature, but in men to understanding. So sense for all the other living creatures is united into nature. And you think of this and how, you can ask questions. Why are we the only ones that do so many things that are so different from every other living creature that seems to be so in tune and in harmony with living in and with nature? Maybe not so much those domesticated ones, but that you could say is our fault. And they still do it much more than we do anyways. And so my mind asks, why is it that we always find ourselves in this different circumstance here? Right, me? Sense is united into nature, but in humanity, in men and women, it is united to understanding. Number 5, but the mind differs from understanding as much a god from divinity. For divinity is subjugated to God, and understanding subjugated to the mind, being the sister of the world. And they, the instruments. See, I did it again. I just got to keep this over here in front and stop moving it, because then I won't forget. But it's funny when you forget, because you actually just remembered that you forgot. So really, I remembered. However, the mind differs from understanding as much a god from divinity. So a god there differs from divinity. For divinity is subjugated to God, and understanding is subjugated to the mind, being the sister of the world, and they the instruments of one another. For neither is the word pronounced without understanding, neither is understanding manifested without the word. That's very fascinating. Synchronicities, ladies and gentlemen. I was just cleaning out some things out of my car, and as you can see, I write some lines down here. I don't know if it's clear enough to read for you, but it says at the top there, words do not make a man understand. It takes the man to understand the words. Now, once again, talking about men and women here. Humanity, us, people, human beings. For neither is the word pronounced without understanding, neither is understanding manifested without the word. And as I captured so many years ago on a piece of cardboard while I was working, said, words do not make a man understand. It takes the individual to understand the words. But as we just learned, they are both connected. For as Trismegistus said, or Thoth, the Egyptian sage god, or Greek Hermes Trismegistus, same being. However, he said they both appear to be one or united and not divided in men, I mean. For divinity is subjugated to God, and understanding subjugated to the mind, being the sister of the word. See, I probably said world earlier, maybe. Being the sister of the word. So understanding is underneath of mind. And remember, mind is like really big in this philosophy. It's the most important, really. However, the mind being the understanding is subjugated to the mind, being the sister of the word, and they the instruments of one another. You could see how they would work together. You want to come up? You want to come up here, Beans? But for divinity is subjugated. This is fascinating. For neither is the word pronounced without understanding, neither is understanding manifested without the word, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure if you have a cat, you can understand that this is what they love to do. is come right where you are and walk around, but that's just fine. I'm not being distracted here. Too much, anyways. What are you? Therefore, sense and understanding do both flow together into a man, and if they were included one with the other, for neither is it possible without sense to understand, nor can we have sense without understanding. So there's this kind of reciprocal action. They go back and forth. It's kind of the duality that we're always talking about of light and dark, ladies and gentlemen. But in this duality, there seems to be a oneness and a harmony of counter forces, the push and the pull, the light and the dark, the positive and the negative, the electric and the magnetic, the expansive and the contractive, and all of these different polarities that create the functioning of reality, the material and the physical, the corporeal and the incorporeal. For neither is it possible without sense to understand, nor can we have sense without understanding. And yet it is possible that the understanding may understand without sense, as they that fancy visions in their dreams. But it seems unto me that both the operations are in the visions of dreams, and the sense is stirred up out of sleep into awakening. For man is divided into a body and a soul. When both parts of the sense connect with one another, then is the understanding brought forth by the mind pronounced. For the mind brings forth all thought, good ones when it receives good seed from God, and the contrary when it receives them from quote unquote devils. But remember, don't take that in the Christian sense, ladies and gentlemen. Let me fix the blur here. There we go. So remember, we could take words like God. Oh, yeah, something separate from us that we have to, try to ask for. I mean, this kind of separation thing that you're taught. Like, oh, God is a judge and a ruler, and you're a crappy little human being, and you are subservient to God, and you must perform excellent work in order to achieve love or appreciation from God, in the hope that you can be allowed into heaven, quote unquote, whatever that is. I'm like, this was obviously the old problem reaction solution. You need saving. And when you find that out, you're like, oh shit, I need somebody to save me. We got your savior solution. Come to us and put your offerings in the plate. I don't know. See, that's a different subject, but I'm sure many of you here, even watching this channel, understand where I'm going with that. And there was a lot more of my ramblings on that. In the beginning of the series, we did on the Hermetica, talking about the history of the Hermetica and how this knowledge got squashed and swept under the rug and kept hidden. This is why it is occult esoteric knowledge for the few and the select and the hidden. However, this bit about dreams here, very powerful, and visions. Let me go back and read it again. He says, therefore, sense and understanding do both flow together into a man as if they were included one within another. For neither it is possible without sense to understand, nor can we have sense without understanding. And yet it is possible that the understanding may understand without sense. Sense now, after this dream part, seems to be the physical. Remember, in the beginning, He said, for sense and understanding seem to differ because the one is material, being sense, and the other is essential or immaterial. Immaterial? And yet it is possible, this is why it is possible that the understanding may understand without sense, because the spiritual seems to be, for some reason, way above and beyond the non-physical, the incorporeal. The essential seems to be above and way beyond in importance and, existence, essence, maybe is why it is called that, than just the form. That's why possibly understanding may understand without sense, but sense does not work without understanding. How is this possible? Well, you can find understanding when you are not conscious or waking here in material reality. Because when you are in a dream state, you are not, so to speak. You're having like a spiritual, maybe not a spiritual experience, but a non-physical experience. That's only in the mind, or is it? Where do we go when we're in our dreams? Are we actually somewhere else? Even though our bodies are still here. I mean, this goes to astral projection and astral traveling. And there are many people that do this as a regular practice, and they can teach this to us if we are interested in astral projection or astral traveling. However, I would recommend great caution. That's just what my mind tells me and advises me. Do not be nilly-willy, jokingly, about very serious spiritual pursuits, because you can very easily find yourself heading down a weird path that was not meant to be traveled. Why am I saying this? I have no idea. Once again, thank you if you're getting value. I appreciate and love each and every one of you that spends time here with me and Hermes Trismegistus in the Corpus Hermeticum. Also Asclepius. Oh, Asclepius. I delivered a perfect discourse, but I think it now necessary, in spite of that perfect discourse, to speak also of sense and understanding. So how is it possible that the understanding may understand without sense? As they that fancy visions in their dreams. He says, but it seems to me that both the operations are in the visions of dreams, and that the sense is stirred up out of sleep into wakening. See, we bring something of the essential nature of the understanding back out of the non-waking into the waking state, or into physical reality, material reality, and we can then try to apply through sense some of the understanding to our life. In other words, something like literally I slept in late, got up an hour or two ago, and I can still remember the dream that I was having before I wake up. And whenever I sleep late, I always have very vivid dreams. I think that's normal. But I haven't done a lot of research in those areas, understanding dreams and sleep patterns and all that kind of stuff. However, and then you can kind of bring something, like when you have a really bad dream, it's almost like you bring that negative energy into the beginning of your day. Or when you have a good dream, it's like, is there some kind of something that you bring back with you? Like, imagine, what if you slept, and then what if while you slept you dreamt, and what if while you were dreaming you found a strange and beautiful flower, And then what if you awoke and beheld that flower in your hand? What then? What then, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, really, what is it? What is it that you'd bring back with you from your dreams? He says, but it seems unto me that both the operations are in the visions of dreams, that sense is stirred up out of the sleep into awakening. Number 12, for a man is divided, man and woman, humanity, us, for we are divided into a body and a soul. Remember our dual nature, we're both mortal and immortal. When both parts of the sense connect with one another, then is the understanding brought forth by the mind pronounced. For the mind brings forth all thought, good ones when it receives good seed from God, and the contrary when it receives them from devils. That's where I got on the tangent about the understanding of certain words. So, but I think we're beyond that here. So, number 14, for there is no part of the world void of the metaphorical devil, which entering in privately sowed the seed of his own proper operation, and the mind did make pregnant, or did bring forth that which was sown. Adulteries, murderers, strife, sacrilege, impieties, assault, and all other things, which are the works of evil daemons. D-A-E-M-O-N-S, not demons. Remember, we have to separate the stigmas and the stereotypes that we give to these words from the most common Christian understanding that's been shoved down our throats throughout the last 2,000 years, maybe. I don't know. Or the last 200 years. Nice cold water today. Even though I love a good tea, I needed a little better refreshment, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. So there are two different types of daemons, maybe demigods, or maybe they're just spiritual entities. However, there, like we've talked about before, there are balanced and unbalanced energies. Now, we like to subjectively call them good and evil, but really, that's our viewpoint from our perspective. The piety, he continues, is the knowledge of God, whereby whoever so knows, being full of all good things, has divine understanding, and not like the multitude. Not like the multitude, and therefore they that have knowledge neither please the multitude, nor the multitude them. But they seem to be mad, and to move laughter, hated and despised, and many times also murdered. For we have already said that wickedness must dwell here, being in her own region. For her region is the earth, and not the world, as some will sometimes say, blaspheming. But the godly man, laying hold on knowledge, will despise all these things. For though they be evil to other men, yet to him all things are good. Now this goes back to that argument that came up last week. And how someone would say, well, if everything is God, if all of this existence and reality is God, and God is supposed to be good and wonderful and love and all this, oneness, well, how do you explain all this tragedy and strife and struggle and evil and calamity in the world? How can this exist if everything is God? Well, here is your explanation. For we have already said that wickedness must dwell here, being in its own region, for its region is the earth and not the world, as some will sometimes say, blaspheming. But the godly man, laying hold on knowledge, will despise all these things. For though they be evil, for though all these struggles and strifes and whatever seems bad to other people, we know through this greater viewpoint and perspective of understanding that we are just small, little, tiny human beings, little specks in the infinite of the grand scheme of all of this reality. And we want to sit here and act like we're the judges of what's supposed to be the way it is in reality, and oh, this shouldn't be that way, and that shouldn't be the way it is. I mean, most often it is our struggles that lead us to finding greater solutions and that lead to the greatest positive change. Out of the bad comes progress and growth. And so there is a way, if you zoom out of your little tiny subjective human perspective and stop trying to say that you are God and you know the way that everything should be. I mean, sure, we'd like to see less struggle for our fellow human beings in reality, but who are we to say that it is supposed to be any other way? And so from this perspective, not saying we don't hope for the better for people and strive for the best and the greatest good, but we understand that even though these things to the people that do not have this viewpoint are evil and wicked and terrible, yet to us, with this understanding, all things are good. All things are God. That does not mean, I will say again, that the duality doesn't exist. Because as we said earlier, it is required for the functioning of this experience. Without a contrary nature, a polarity, a positive, negative charge creating the field or the activity or the operation or the possibility of any of this, then none of it would be here. So we have to have the counterbalance. Now, there's people that could go on tangents about the darkest subjects. I mean, the worst things of reality. And that's its own podcast and topic. That would be going off into a different area than spiritual philosophy. And the reason we are here is to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through a greater awareness and understanding of the nature of reality, so that through that increased understanding, we can increase the quality of our lives. And our lives are made up of moments. So that's what we're doing here, focusing on spiritual philosophy to try to use this increased awareness to increase the quality of our moments. Focusing on the darkest possible things of reality is not going to do that. And as a matter of fact, it's going to be the contrary to the action or the contrary to our desired goal of just enjoying life in general. I mean, here we are. Do we want to fill our moments with... This is like what the news does. I mean, I was thinking differently, looking into really dark conspiracy theories about, things that are going on in reality. But, even on a lower, more base level for common people, just watching the news. And they're like, yeah, 12 dead in this city and 5 people have been robbed. And, it's always just the worst. And it's like, how are you ever going to enjoy your life if all you do is fill up your moments with that? I mean, how are you even going to create and be inspired? And remember, being inspired is being in spirit, inspiration. And when you are in spirit, you are not
going to experience disaster, which is also a disassociation from the astral, or a disconnection from our spiritual part of ourselves. So be inspired and avoid disaster, or be in spirit and avoid a disassociation from your astral self. Now, where does these rambles come from? I don't know. But I'm just here speaking to a camera with a microphone, sitting in front of a computer on January 31st, 2024, on Wednesday Wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. So remember, I'll sum it up here because I didn't want to go too long today. The most important part of this, because the next line he says, but I return again to my discourse of sense. So he goes back to talking about sense and understanding again. That's why I'm going to leave it here for now. And we can get back to that next time. But this was talking about, I don't know, actually. I never know what to title these. He was talking about sense and understanding, and then he started talking about visions and dreams. And then he started talking about good and evil, and where the evil things come from in this world, and how that they are somewhat, like he said about sense and understanding, they seem to differ because one is material, the other is essential, but unto me they appear to be both one or united and not divided in reality, which is the true case of what would be described as good and evil. But gladly, those of us who are attempting to be in harmony and union with Atum, with the universe, with the Tao, with God, the Force, Grand Organized Design, God, Great Spirit, whatever it is you call it. Remember, the names are not important. But to the person, the godly man, laying hold on knowledge, clinging to the wisdom of the ages, will despise all these evil things that we see in the world, and we will not want it and work against it diligently. But we will know that it is still a part of God. For though they be evil to all the other men and women, human beings that go around, though they seem this way, yet to us we will know that all things are good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a boom to the beginning of the 13th chapter or book in the Corpus Hermeticum, entitled Of Sense and Understanding, a discourse from thrice greatest Hermes Thoth to Asclepius on, as we can see so far, a very deep, profound conversation on visions and dreams and sense and understanding, good and evil. Boom, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me in these videos. I believe since we missed yesterday, Tuesday, my work schedule has been weird lately. You know, a lot of fluctuation this time of the year. That could be normal. So I haven't had my normal Tuesday, Wednesday scheduling going on. So just trying to work around it, though. You know, we are here. We are here. Just think of the time. So thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. I love and appreciate each and every one of you that spends time here with me in these premieres and in these videos. And be sure to expand the description below the video over here, probably a little more button that you can click. That will give you a link to the book so you can get it for yourself and put it on your shelf so you can follow along in future episodes or just for reference in the future. And I mean, physical copies, I'm telling you, there's something about it that's much better than the digital ones, but everyone has their own opinion on that one. So also a link to my Etsy shop if you want to get yourself a landscape painting, and C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. Give yourself the gift of health. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, through greater awareness and understanding of the nature of reality, so that through that awareness, we'd increase the quality of not only our lives, but the lives of those around us, and be the tide that lifts all boats. And also remember that there is no way to happiness or enlightenment, because happiness is the way. Let me say that again. There's no way to it, because it is the way to wherever we're trying. So if we can begin to bring happiness, enlightenment, awareness, understanding to life as an activity, something we practice and work on and get better at. But if we can bring happiness to life, then all the things we've been telling ourselves, oh, when I get this much and I have the house and the car and, all these things, then I'll finally be happy. That becomes irrelevant, because then you already are there. And hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, the entire journey is wonderful. Thank you so much. Once again, I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And we will, promise you, see you tomorrow on Thursday for some Thursday Tao. We're going to be going back and looking at change your thoughts, change your life, living the wisdom of the Tao, Tao Te Ching, with Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, and we will see where we end up. This one's titled Living in the Flow, Living Humility, Living Oneness. Want a little bit of Tao Te Ching before we go? Might as well. We're here, aren't we? I mean, come on, let's enjoy it. The 10th verse of the Tao Te Ching before we go, ladies and gentlemen, just for you. Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child's? In the opening and shutting of heaven's gate, can you play the feminine part? Can you love your people and govern your domain without self-importance? Giving birth and nourishing, having, yet not possessing, working, yet not taking credit, leading without controlling or dominating. One who heeds this power brings the Tao to this very earth. This is the primal virtue. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, be the change you want to see. Be the example you want to set.